So in this section, we're going to be adding some collaborative workspace activities, and the workspace activities are really my favorite part of the Smart Learning Suite. I'm still in that same world languages presentation that I added my ready-made activities to, which I'm now just going to continue on and try adding these workspace activities. So what this allows you to do is, instead of creating new slides, like a ready-made activity will always create a new slide in your presentation. But if I convert an object to a workspace activity, it will allow me to just convert an existing slide that I already have. So when you're doing this, you want to have slides in your presentation that are conducive to being collaborative or to being an actual worksheet for a student. So as an example, in this particular example, I'm going to ask them to draw a picture of their two favorite types of Spanish food. So in order to convert this to an activity, what I do is have the slide up on the screen, and then at the bottom here, click Convert to Activity. There's two options here. One is to make it an individual handout, and the other is to make it a collaborative workspace. An individual handout the student will complete on their own. Each student in your class will get their own slide to work on. You'll be able to watch them as they're working, and then they'll submit the slide directly to you. If you make the page a collaborative workspace activity, this becomes a whole group or a small group activity where multiple students will work on the slide together. So I'm going to start by making this an individual workspace. Pretty much all you do is click that button and it's made an individual workspace. And we'll take a look at how that looks when I show you the display from one to the next. The next slide that we're going to look at, draw a picture. This is another draw picture one. I'm going to make this one a small group activity. Or maybe I should make this the small group activity. Let's see. All right, we'll do this actually, we'll make this a small group. So what I'm going to do is do Convert to Activity, and I'm going to make this a collaborative workspace. So this means more than one person. That's pretty much all you have to do. And on this one, I'm also going to make it a collaborative workspace. And one of them we'll do as small groups, and the other we'll do as a whole class. So now let's take a look at what this looks like from the student perspective and the teacher perspective. I'm going to finish editing. And now I'm in my presentation mode. So this is the teacher screen. This is the student side. So when we get to this screen, which is an individual handout or an individual workspace activity, the student will get their own individual copy of the file. So the student will click Start, and the student will now see that they have some presentation or some options, with tools on the left-hand menu, where they can either draw, erase, add pictures, or add text to their screens. So in this one, they have to draw their favorite food. So let's take a look. We'll just go with, I'm not a great drawer, so we'll see how this goes. But this is my version of a taco. And I can change the colors if I want to kind of show like maybe some salsa coming out. And maybe some lettuce. Okay, there's my great picture. Now, as a teacher, I can click on the student progress, and I would see a listing of all of my active students in the class. When I want to look at their work, I can just click on their work, and I can see it in real time how they're doing. When the student clicks Done, it will give a check mark next to their name, so I know that they're finished and they've completed this. But I can check their work either in progress or when they're finished, and you'll see a list of every single one of your students who's active, and you'll be able to click on and off of each student. The teacher can also do their own activity here by just clicking on the teacher handout option. So now let's go to the next slide, which will, of course, end the activity for everyone. And this one was a collaborative workspace activity. So when I click Setup as the teacher, it's going to prompt me, how many teams would you like? Do I want to do this as an entire, like a whole class? Or do I want to put the students into small teams? So this is something that happens on the fly. So if I say I want my class in small teams, it automatically takes your participants and whoever is enrolled in this lesson and puts them into small teams. Unfortunately, you can't set up the teams in advance, but you can drag names around if you want to move certain kids away from others and put them in different groups. As soon as I click Start Workspace, the student is, I'm going to see a listing of all their teams, and the student gets a list of their team. So they'll click on their team, and this will launch the activity. So now, as the student, I can click on my drawing. Again, I'm drawing pictures of food here. So I'm going to do my same taco because it's pretty much the only thing I know how to draw because I'm not really good at drawing. That's like the worst looking taco I've ever seen. But from the teacher's view, I can click on each team and see how they're doing and what is being added to the slide. The other thing that I can do is I can flick between the teams and kind of see each screen in real time. So you can see exactly what's being added to the slides as the activity is going on. Now the final activity I've set up also as a workspace activity, like a collaborative one, but when I click setup this time, I'm going to say I want this to be a whole class activity. So this means that everybody in the class, and I got this message that a bunch of the students that I've enrolled here are not signed in. Luke's the only one signed into the class, so he's really the only one participating right now. But what the students can do now is they can either draw a dot or drag a dot to where they have the activity. So everyone in the class would be able to like drag or draw their dot. I would probably should have put a dots on the screen for them to drag here. Or they could just circle, you know, am I doing well? Am I not doing well? And then as the teacher, I'll see all of their responses in real time. And if I click on their name, I can see who added it. I can also delete their responses, or I can duplicate it if I want. But you can, as a teacher, you can always see who added what by clicking on it and then clicking the arrow and you'll see who added it. So that's how you make something a collaborative workspace activity. In a way, I think of this as like as you make it an individual handout, it's almost a little bit like Kami. And if you make it more of like a group workspace activity, it kind of is a little bit like Paradex. So these features sort of add some other tools that we have available to us and kind of put them all in one place in Smart Learning Suite. So in the next section, we're going to have you take that existing presentation that you had already added ready-made activities to, and now we'll have you take a couple of the slides in that activity and convert them to both individual and group activities.